Peter Kwong, a gifted martial artist and accomplished actor who left an indelible mark on the silver screen through his portrayal of Rain, the lightning-wielding warrior and one of the ominous three storms in John Carpenter's 1986 cult masterpiece Big Trouble in Little China, has passed away at the age of 73. His death was confirmed by his representatives, who shared that Kwong died peacefully in his sleep on Tuesday night. At this time, no additional details surrounding his passing have been made public. The news of his death has sent waves of sorrow through both the entertainment and martial arts communities, where he was known not just for his roles but for his discipline, generosity, and magnetic presence both on and off the screen. Born on April 9, 1952, Kwong entered the world at a time of rapid cultural shifts and cinematic transformation. Raised in Los Angeles by Chinese immigrant parents, he was part of a generation of Asian Americans growing up amidst both rich cultural heritage and the challenges of assimilation. From an early age, Kwong exhibited a natural inclination toward the performing arts and martial disciplines. That duality, the blend of finesse and performance, would later define his professional legacy. He studied martial arts rigorously, mastering disciplines that demanded not only physical agility but mental precision and inner calm. Those values carried through every aspect of his life, from his action sequences to the quiet way he mentored younger actors trying to find their way. Before he ever set foot on a movie set, Kwong had already developed a commanding presence. His first forays into acting came through television in the late 1970s and early 1980s, a time when roles for Asian actors were few and often riddled with stereotypes. Yet Kwong, ever persistent and patient, maneuvered through the landscape with a calm determination, choosing projects that, even if modest in scale, allowed him to show layers of character. He appeared in a variety of shows including MASH*, Falcon Crest, and General Hospital. Though many of these roles were limited in screen time, each appearance gave Kwong an opportunity to prove that Asian actors could deliver performances that were grounded in humanity, dignity, and power. But it was 1986, a remarkable year for Peter Kwong, that solidified his place in cinematic history. That year, he starred in not one, not two, but three memorable feature films, showcasing the range and charisma that had quietly been developing for over a decade. In Big Trouble in Little China, Kwong transformed into Rain, a silent but menacing enforcer, one of three nearly mythic figures who descend from the skies in swirling robes and electrifying displays of martial artistry. His role as Rain was unforgettable, even though he had few lines. The essence of Rain wasn't in dialogue but in physical presence, in the whip-fast movements, the way his long black hair flew through the air like lightning, and in his penetrating stare. Kwong brought something primal to the screen, something elemental. Alongside fellow storms Thunder and Lightning, Rain became a lasting image from the film, a silent, surreal specter who elevated every scene he appeared in. Though Big Trouble in Little China was not a commercial hit upon release, grossing only modestly at the box office and initially seen as a misfire for director John Carpenter and lead actor Kurt Russell, time would tell a different story. Over the years, it blossomed into a cult classic, praised for its wildly inventive tone, absurdist humor, genre-bending plot, and Asian-influenced mythology. And in every retrospective, review, and fan forum, Peter Kwong's Rain remained one of the most talked-about characters. Fans often dressed as Rain at conventions and film festivals, recreating his lightning attacks with LED props and electric stage effects. Few actors get to play a character that transcends the screen to become a part of pop culture mythology. Peter Kwong was one of them. That same year, Kwong took on the role of Tommy Tong in The Golden Child, a mystical action comedy starring Eddie Murphy and British actor Charles Dance. Here, Kwong played a villain once again, a restaurant owner turned henchman whose polished demeanor masked a dark alliance with supernatural evil. The role allowed him to balance menace with subtle charisma, and his scenes with Murphy showcased his ability to hold the screen even alongside one of the most commanding comedic presences of the 1980s. The Golden Child was a box office success, and although Kwong's screen time was limited, his performance left an imprint. Audiences recognized him. Critics mentioned him. He was no longer just another martial arts extra. He was a scene stealer. Later that year, Kwong appeared in Never Too Young to Die, a hybrid of spy flick, rock opera, and teen adventure featuring John Stamos and singer Vanity. The The film, known for its over-the-top characters and eccentric storylines, became a cult favorite among fans of bizarre 1980s cinema. Once again, Kwong showed up with poise, immersing himself into a world where everything felt chaotic and surreal. He didn't just deliver lines, he brought elegance to even the wildest scenarios. Though the film wasn't a major commercial success, it added another layer to his growing cult resume. Across these three films, 1986 became a breakout moment for Peter Kwong, not in the traditional Hollywood sense where fame arrives overnight and roles flood in immediately, but in a quieter, more enduring way. His performances didn't fade. They stayed with people. Over time, those roles built into a reputation. Peter Kwong wasn't just another martial arts actor. He was a character actor with style, grace, and intensity. In the years that followed, Kwong continued working steadily in both film and television. He lent his talents to projects such as The Presidio, Chinatown Connection, and The Art of Dying. He guest starred on series like Jag, The A-Team, Hunter, and 21 Jump Street, often playing detectives, martial artists, or morally complex figures. Even when the parts were small, he brought a level of care and detail that elevated the material. Directors often praised him for his professionalism and humility on set, and fellow actors spoke of him with affection and admiration. He wasn't flashy. He wasn't loud. But he was dependable, creative, and deeply passionate about the craft. Outside of acting, Kwong dedicated himself to teaching and mentoring. He understood how difficult it had been for him and other Asian American actors to find meaningful work, and he sought to open doors for the next generation. He taught martial arts to students young and old, using it as a tool not just for self-defense but for inner growth. He was also involved in community arts programs, often volunteering his time for events that highlighted Asian culture, film history, and the integration of traditional Eastern practices with modern performance. For those who knew him personally, Kwong was a man of balance, deeply spiritual yet incredibly grounded, intensely focused yet warm and approachable. He had the kind of quiet magnetism that made people feel at ease around him. He could walk into a crowded room and not need to raise his voice to be noticed. He simply exuded calm authority, a man who had lived many lives through the characters he played but never lost his sense of who he truly was. In the final years of his life, Peter Kwong remained active, still acting occasionally, still attending conventions where fans would line up to take photos and have posters signed. He was especially popular at screenings of Big Trouble in Little China, where he would recount stories from the set, share insights about John Carpenter's creative process, and laugh with fans who had been inspired by his portrayal of Rain for decades. His passing feels like the quiet extinguishing of a flame that had long illuminated corners of cinema many had forgotten. Peter Kwong may not have been the face on every poster or the name on every marquee, but he was something rarer, a true craftsman. A man who built his legacy slowly, role by role, moment by moment, each performance like a brushstroke on a canvas that, when viewed from afar, reveals a life dedicated to art, integrity, and strength. As the news of his death spreads, tributes are pouring in from fans, filmmakers, martial artists, and colleagues. They remember not only the characters he played but the dignity he carried into every interaction. In an industry that often prizes flash over substance, Peter Kwong was a reminder that power can be quiet, that presence can be still, and that greatness doesn't always shout.